You are watching Bechi.com TV and SalexTV. And our guest today is the Honourable Commissioner for Power, Renewable Energy and Transport, Honourable Barrister. Thank you, sir.
Omale. It's my pleasure. Thank you very much. I always key viewers. You've been told about the special guest we have today. A man of immense measure, means and ability. Omale Omale, barrister. Once again, you're welcome, sir.
Thank you so much.
Ibechi and Whiskey, they are behind the camera. I'm actually in the West. Sir, can you please tell us the journey so far since taking over this ministry, the affairs of this ministry?
Ladies and gentlemen, for us, it's one rare and great privilege again to share this platform with our own viewers and listeners. And to the glory of God, and to the benevolence and the discretion of the Presidency, the Executive Governor of Benue State, I'm now the Reverend Dr. High to be selected among the Lords here in Benue State as a Commissioner and President overseeing the Ministry of Power, Renewable Energy and Transport. This happened about a year ago, precisely on the 28th of August 2023. We had the honor and privilege to be sworn as commissioners and then have the special portfolio assigned to us respectively. For me, the Ministry of Power, Renewable Energy and Transport was assigned following its creation by the Executive Governor of Benue State. For the very first time in the history of the ministerial composition in Benue State, we are having Ministry of Power, Renewable Energy and Transport. And by that date of establishment, I can now say that I proudly sit on the side of the table as a pioneer commissioner for this new ministry, with the sole mandate for the setup of the ministry and then to drive it to the point where it will optimize the core value for which it is set up. So far, so good. To the glory of God, we are where we are. The journey hasn't been easy, but it's sure not very herculean and difficult one, because I understood the mandate of its setup, that of its startup, and then laboriously we try to get the foundation right. What then are the mandates for the ministry, and what were the rationale behind establishing the new ministry? Well, before now, the business of power renewable energy has been carried out by previous administration in Benue State. That of transportation has also been, delivered through the then Ministry of the Works and Transport. So why do we need to sever transport from works and then fire with power? It became our core desire to appreciate the concept behind the new ministry, and then we did. Bearing in mind the clear vision statement of His Excellency the Executive Governor of Benue State that were articulated in his blueprint, the 7 pillars. We understood what the 7 pillars are from the area of agriculture, human resources, and then that of capacity development, among others. These 7 pillars situate in the context of the SDG, the Millennium Development Goals, which every state strives to achieve. And then as we try to do that, we understood again that the Executive Governor of Benue State, Alia, got himself prepared for the responsibility. So he knew the thinking of the incoming administration of Nigeria and the need to align Benue State with the federal policy in all ramifications. Then I can remind us quickly again that under the then administration of himself, retired General Buhari, he laboriously got the Ninth Assembly to put together for us the Electricity Act, seeking clearly to unbundle power sector. And then when Mr. President came, he quickly assented. So, to align the administrative blueprint of the governor Alia with what the thinking of federal government is, it became necessary for him to establish the Ministry of Power and Renewable. I wouldn't know the parameter that His Excellency used to appointing me and then assigning me to this portfolio. But nevertheless, we've been driving laboriously for a start. And we indeed have started the ministry, and then we are very well again, realizing the mandate of the ministry. But being a new ministry, it becomes very necessary for establishment to staff it. We are gradually getting staff off, and then the location, operational place, has been a movement from a place to place until we are where we are. That is now the board for the Ministry of Power, Renewable Energy and Transport, which is cresting the Benue State Power and Transport House. By God's grace, from where we are very trusting that a deputy structure will be set up that will host both the components or directorate of transport and that of power and renewable energy. Ultimately, these two components are very well standalone ministry. That's how we are driving them from this conceptual stage, trusting that only a matter of time, Ministry of Power and Renewable Energy will stand on its own and then focus and concentrate on the deliverables, and that of Ministry of Transportation will also come alive because both of them are huge in their very respective space. But again, Benue State, amongst other 5 states in the country, pride themselves with this joint composition of Ministry of Power, Renewable Energy and Transportation. And I began to wonder why transport, why power and transport? And then the whole connection can come from the now appreciable explanation that as we address climate change, globally, the emphasis is gravitating towards cleaner environment, and that cleaner environment is found heavily in renewable energy component, and that it is also meant to be deployed even onto the transport corridor. Hence, we begin to have a CNG driven, vehicles, and then you also have an e-vehicle, which are electric driven vehicles. All these are energy. All these are power, moving from fossil to cleaner and better energy options with greater efficiency and then lower cost estimate. So therein again lies the need for this fusion of the Ministry of Power, Renewable Energy and that of Transportation. With this understanding, as we begin to work in delivering, our mandate in the area of the power, then we are looking at how do we also, annex the available power to enhance transport efficiency. Our mandate is clear: to coordinate power and to grant access to stable, cheaper, cleaner, and better power to the people of Benue State. To addressing the wide gap of the energy lack in Benue State, and to providing every other possible option in granting access to energy and power to the people of Benue State, using the new electricity act regime that the federal government template doing for the states. And to the other section of the ministry, the Directorate of Transportation have a core mandate to providing access to low cost transportation, using all available means of transportation that is available to us in Benue State, granting our people access to uninterrupted transport or means of transportation and then coordinate all transport-related activity in the Benue State with the sole aim of granting access for the movement of persons, goods, and services from one point to another. Understanding this mandate, so we felt very seriously that it can only be realized if from the vision and the mission of His Excellency the Executive Governor of the State, Reverend Dr. Alia, and a clear-cut policy for electricity and renewable energy sector be articulate for Benue State, as well as for the transport sector in Benue State. So what we began to do as a ministry was to set up ourselves a technical and advisory committee that will work with us to arriving at what the policy of the Benue State Government will be in the area of power and renewable energy, as well as that of the transport sector. That work is at advanced stage, where now we can clearly have in an articulated form the policy thrust for the transport sector in Benue State and that of power and renewable energy in Benue State. From this policy document, is a step-by-step approach to satisfying the mandate of the ministry, granting unrestricted, uninterrupted energy access to the people of Benue State using legislation. And then we move again to addressing how do we coordinate transport-related activity in Benue State with a view of achieving the mandate of the ministry. So, the work on the policy thrust for the transport, renewable and then power renewable energy sector of the ministry is advanced. It's undergoing clinical appraisal from all stakeholders in the both power and renewable energy as well as transport corridor. To achieving this feat, we started by interacting or identifying who the stakeholders of the two components of the ministry are. And for the power and renewable energy corridor, we swiftly find out that yes, it deals with generation, transmission, and distribution. So which of them is available to us in Benue State as our partner? Where power in Nigeria currently generated, Benue is not part of it, and as such, we need to link with where the source is and from which of the sources do power get to us in Benue. And if it is generated at any day, how does it get to us? Under the then regime, it got to us through the Transmission Company of Nigeria this year, to which Benue State is proud to have one of the biggest substations in Makurdi, or PTCN substation, that service well over 4 to 5 states in the country. So work closely with them and to find out what is it that we are not having stable power in the manner that we should have. Is it that the generation is a problem or what? And they assured us that they have capacity to bring whatever that is generated and distribute even from the state. The other critical stakeholder then was the Just Electricity Distribution Company. Because following the reform in the power sector, we have the generation, the transmission, and distribution. And for us in Benue State, Just Electricity Distribution Company, JED, is the one that distributes any power that is available to us in Benue, Gombe, Bauchi, Plateau, and even some part of Cross River. And then we began to ask, why are we having the situation we have in Benue? The explanation urgent as it were, that we are very fortified with the provision of the Now Electricity Act 2023 that unbundle this power sector and allow for states through their House of Assembly to make law to regulate electricity and energy related activity within their states, from generation through to transmission and distribution, leaving again exclusively to the national matters of national grids, generation, transmission at the national level. So our policy will lead us to having the right legal framework that will help us manage or set up and manage the power and renewable energy sector of the ministry. So what then do we begin to do? We began to go around to understudy what this new regime is, to do peer review with other states who have gone ahead of us, and then to also have a joint handshake with the federal government through the Federal Ministry of Power, and then leverage on the conscious effort of the Nigerian Governors Forum to identify power as one of the basic areas for intervention, and for the very first time set up a power desk at the Nigerian Governors Forum to help coordinate the subnational to understand the new regime of the power sector in Nigeria, and then to help us navigate the transition from the old into the present power space. We took advantage of that, leverage on all the training and then understood why and what we should do at the time. And stepping it down, using our own advisory and technical committee, we have also engaging with stakeholders, come up with a draft electricity law for Benue State that will help us regulate the power sector in Benue State. A whole lot of people have asked. There are 6 states who have enjoyed their own state law and have also moved to enjoy authorities released to them by the Nigeria Electricity Regulation Commission to begin to regulate electricity and energy related activities in the state. What are we doing? Yeah, we understand again that everybody must move at their pace, at their space. And then for some of these states, before the Electricity Act 2023 exists for them, state-owned electricity regulation authorities, such as that is available to them in Enugu, that is available to them in Ekiti, that is also available to them in places where the energy markets are already established. But our understanding of this new development tells us that by the critical understanding of the Benue electricity space will tell us of the suitable energy market that we can design for ourselves, and it is predicated upon this whole feasibility and understanding of the power space that you can truly make for yourself a law that will help you advance and administer the power space in the states. It is consequent upon the passage of this law that you can then approach the Nigerian Electricity Regulation Commission for there to pull up and then grant you authority to begin to regulate power within your own space in the states. There are sequence or steps that got us to where we should be. Our draft law have enjoyed validation on some undergoing the process of validation. It was an input of critical stakeholders in the power sector in the state and across. And then it was also meant to conform with the protocol format so that we all within the 36 states of the Federation and FCT we relatively have similar but adaptive and peculiar energy or power law that suits our own situation. So bearing all that in mind, we have also sent it out for experts to look at it and to validate or make their comment, so that when we come out with the power law or electricity law for Benue State, it will be a law that will indeed set up the energy market, set up the relevant regulatory authority, and then help Benue State to be in the energy market for investors to come and do business with us in the states. That draft law set up to do several things. One, to provide for the energy market or electricity market in Benue State. And our electricity market in Benue State is flowing from the backdrop that power is highly technical and cost involving. And that we don't have the luxury of this technical expertise, neither do we have the luxury of abundance of resources to be deployed to address our power needs in Benue State. So our energy market is a model that will attract private investors or institutional investors, as the case might be. so that we can leverage on the public-private partnership arrangements, or leave it open for an investors to come into our energy market space and invest. And all we do is to, by that legislation, put the state in its class of an enabler, creating an enabling environment for prospective investor in the power corridor to come do business in the state. And our model, as uniquely designed for us, is an end-to-end model that will allow for investor to come to generate, transmit, and distribute within a chosen location, as we target underserved and or unserved communities in the state. Underserved communities are communities that you can see elements of semblance of power in their place, and they have 2 to 3, 4 hours of power supplied to them once in a month, once in a week. They can say we have power, but they don't have sufficient power, so they are underserved. Unserved communities are communities that currently do not have any public source of power supply available to them. So our business is to identify this community, identify again their power need, and put it on the market for investors to come do business with this place. And we say end to end, so meaning you can generate using any option that is available to you, be it from mini hydro to solar, mechanical, wind, or any other source of power generation that is available. But our regulation will put you in a position that you will transmit to the end user, you will meter it at the end point, so that the end user have sufficient information and orientation that power now in Benue State is classified as a commodity, like every other essential commodity. That is an item for sale, and that we buy. And what we do in regulation again is to ensure that the consumer get value for their money. So meaning, in area of tariff, in area of what you pay for power, as you pay for it, you are sure going to get it. Our own enabling standpoint will ensure that the investor is protected and also ensure that the consumer are also protected. And that law again will be establishing for us, in addition to the energy market in Benue State, it will establish for us the regulation authority. So meaning that law will cost the Benue State Government to set up the Benue State Power Regulation Commission. This Power Regulation Commission, by that law, is meant to have the mandate to regulate everybody that comes to do power business in Benue State, from generation, transmission, and distribution. It will begin to regulate existing power setup players that are already in Benue State, be them the operation and activity of TCN within our space and that of the Just Electricity Distribution Company within our space. By the way, our understanding of the Electricity Act 2023 says that once a state gets to that point of passing their own law and then enjoy regulatory authority, the distribution company are enjoined by the Electricity Act to also unbundle and establish a subsidiary within the state for which they distribute. And their operation within this state shall now be brought under the purview of the regulatory authority of our own Benue State Electricity Regulation Commission or agency, as the case may be. They will determine matters of, specification to power, and they will also regulate tariffs so that the investor is protected and the customer is also protected. Their function will be akin to that of the Nigeria Electricity Regulation Commission in all ramifications, but as it concerns us in Benue State. That law, if it comes to life, it will also set up for Benue State for the very first time the Benue State Rural Electrification Authority, Bureau, Agency, or Commission, as the case again might be. What then does this law sought to do by establishing the Rural Electrification Agency? So that our rural community that we sought to grant access to power or energy to are properly administered from a directorate or from an agency, alchemy or similar to that of the rural electrification agency that exists in the Federal Ministry of Power, who have the mandate to addressing rural electrification, access to rural electrification. We do that under this our law so that our own state rural electrification bureau or commission can have alignment with the rural electrification agency that we have at the federal government, to understand the policy of that agency at the federal government, to stepping it down for the benefit of our rural community in the state. All that is to bring coordination and all concerted effort of government to ensuring that our people have access to power and energy at all times. Right? And then our law again sought out to identify what are the challenges, because as we interact with stakeholders, we begin to understand that it is not the volume of power that J got from the national grid that is also available to us. There are a whole lot of energy losses. What are the causes of this loss? Some of them are technical and others are human. The human aspect of it is occasioned by the activities of vandals, energy theft, and the rest of it. So this law said to codify acts of individuals that will make realizing this core mandate difficult or impracticable and make them an offense, and also to charge the Benue State Judiciary to designate a court for the purpose of causing a redress. So when you cause an energy theft, there is a bypass or there is a vandalization and all that. They are not will be criminalized under our law with authority in the hand of the judiciary to prosecute. And what the law set to provide is to make this offense, energy theft, energy-related offense, is to make them a strict liability offense. The one that nobody need to bother you in a litigious engagement in the court. Once it is found out that you bypass meter or you allow somebody to tie wire from your house to their house for the purpose of having access to power without authorization from the authority, that threatening investors' investment is an offense under our law. And that you go contrary to lay down rules in doing power-related activity in the state, it's an infraction and there is a punishment for it. That is to secure investors in the state and then to also secure power infrastructure that exists or that will be existing in the state. All that